Right, part 2. So, I had to stop my navigation program, which was already also running on the phone that I'm using for video, which added some stupid sounds. In any case, so Bandera is disliked by Russians because they fought against the Soviets. But why do the Russians identify with the Soviets? Weren't the Soviets bad as a whole, even though they were fighting against the Russians for their land? As a whole, the Soviets were, of course, a very destructive influence on other countries, but also on their own people. So why do the Russians look negatively towards Bandera? I think that has to do with a feeling of that they still identify with Soviets and that they think he fought against the Russians, because the Russians were always the dominant part in the Russian Federation, in the Russian Empire. You have parts that are almost towards China, you have Japan. People there look like being from those regions. But the Russian Federation, or Russia, has always been dominant. It has forced its language on the other regions, for example. And oh yes, it's a bridge, I remember that. I've been here several years ago. And there's also the aspect that a lot of Russians long back to the Soviet Union for the reason that then they felt they had status in the world as a country, and thus for themselves compared to other countries as a group. Yes, this is a nice area. It's a not very good bridge, as I remember from years ago. But yeah, you encounter such things a lot in Ukraine, and it doesn't matter to me. I think back to a saying that a woman said that I knew long ago from Kiev. If you love someone, then even the bad points are good points to you. And I understood that in this sense, that they may be bad points, but they are bad points of a person that you love, and then they are reminders of, and an essential aspect of, that you cannot just remove that person. And I feel the same about Ukraine. There are a few things that I don't like, but people smoke here a lot more. I don't like it in the Netherlands, but when I smell smoke, someone smoking, it reminds me of Ukraine. So in that sense, it's not a negative anymore. That's weird, but that's how it works. So my friend made all these comments about how it's justified, and I thought, yeah, what should I do? I don't like this kind of talk. I don't like talking about this because he's completely wrong. It's not justifiable. Ukraine did nothing wrong. They can decide if they want to be with NATO or anyone else. They can decide who they want to trade with. It's their choice, not Russia's choice. So, what to do about it? And then I thought it might be a good idea to make a video about it, or first a text, to show our differences in what we think about this conflict and how it will progress. So, my views are quite simple. From 2014 I knew Putin is a psychopath, and from 2015, about approximately, when I learned that he wanted to use, or had ready to use, atomic weapons in relation to Crimea, I thought, yeah, this guy is insane, not just a psychopath. If you're willing to do something like that for something that's relatively insignificant, then you're completely nuts. Germany made this. The response at the time I thought was way too weak. What happened now is what should have happened in 2014. But the problem with this was the appeasement, probably especially by Germany, and that antisocial nutjob Merkel from Germany, Merkel, who recently claimed, yeah, I knew that this or that, like appeasement things, wouldn't work with him. Yeah, but bullshit. That woman didn't understand anything. A woman with an expressionless face. She's just emotion poor or antisocial or something. I haven't looked at it enough because I just can't stand her. So I never really looked at videos. But from a video you can see it almost immediately. Oh, there's a house being built. All house building, by the way, is almost at a standstill in Ukraine. Building materials, the cost of it has risen a lot. But yeah, if you live there, that would be nice. On a small river. I visited several houses that were not finished. Everything just stopped when this war started. So, back to what we think. I don't agree with Bruno. It's not justified, but also his reasoning, as I said, is copied from the propaganda materials from the Russians. And yeah, it's weird that someone can get so quickly converted. But as I said, I think it's partly because of wanting to believe to have made the right decision, and partly because of having experienced too many things that he did not like in Ukraine. This is a nice park area. I'm not sure if it's really a park. Let's see. What's it called? Oh, there's a monastery there, yes. It says so on the map. Yeah. The next area beyond this is Malyovanka, where there are, built up area. There are quite a few nice areas in this region, but also in the city, but also around it. So let's discuss a few more things. So he thought everything's going to go well. The USA is going to be stopped in its expansionist tracks, and it will survive well. I think I will link to a text file that shows you everything. My views from before the war and from during this war, which have not changed. Also some links to videos on YouTube about how this war will affect Russia from perspective of people who have looked deeper into it. I just took a few simple things, and from that I already knew, namely that in 2015 or 2016 there were reports on the Dutch news site nos.nl about the sanctions, the rather limited sanctions that were put on Russia for invading Crimea, taking over Crimea. That it will make our country stronger. It will make us more self-sufficient. And a few years later, I saw exactly the same statement again put on the Dutch news site nos.nl. I think I saved all those articles, but I will check when I got home. And I thought, okay, nothing has changed. You claim it gets better. A few years later, you claim it got better, but it's still the same. And now, when you look at what they're doing, the Russians, and what problems they have sourcing parts for the military stuff, for example, then I see still nothing has changed. It's all bullshit. They're just bullshitting. just as their trolls, which are so unbelievably stupid. It's writing down nonsense all the time. From the start, you can almost immediately see in one sentence that it's a troll. For example, recently, today or yesterday, there was one guy yesterday. One guy who wrote, greetings from Sweden to the Ukrainian people, but not to their greedy leader. Then I thought immediately, troll. He goes along with something that's accepted in the West, which is that the Ukrainian people suffer. And then says, but not our leader because he's greedy. He takes money, blah, 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 blah. All this bullshit. The greediest bastard of all is, of course, Putin. And it's not some guy from anywhere in the West. And you see a nice view here. Those houses are located in nice places. There's not much of a river, but I remember it was not much of a river when I was here several years ago either. So he thinks it will go well. Russia will become self-sufficient. I think Russia is going bankrupt. They will become demilitarized. In 3 months from my prediction, the prediction started end of July. I think Russia will have lost most of its offensive potential. Let's sit here for a bit. And in 6 months, if they continue, they will be almost wiped out because they're getting hammered with newer material, better equipment from the USA, from Germany, etc. Another thing that I thought immediately when this war started, and I saw how stupid the people in the Russian army are, and how quickly all their stuff gets destroyed. Nobody's going to buy anything from them anymore. You have to be stupid to buy some Russian airplanes or tanks or anything else. Yes, cool view here. There's the monastery again, now better visible. And walk a bit more, I'll walk a bit more. So my prediction for 1 year is that Russia is going to go totally bankrupt if their leaders are not turned over for international tribunals, and that means lifelong imprisonment because these are war criminals. And I mean Lavrov as well, that bullshitter of a foreign minister. Jesus Christ, what an idiot! Claiming Russia hasn't invaded Ukraine several times at the start and then later. Is that guy insane? He works from some crazy premise that Ukraine doesn't exist, so they haven't invaded. And in any case, back to my friend or acquaintance, I knew him from several years ago. We met in Kharkov in a hostel. We got talking a bit, later got talking a lot more via internet, via Viber, later via Telegram. And so he moved to Russia. He could do it. His work is not dependent on where he lives. And he took over all these points from the propagandists. And he thinks it's going to go well, but I think Russia is going bankrupt and they're going to get in a world of hurt, as they say in some places. Like in a film. Some guy on a bike. I think that's it for this video. This was a summary of what it's like. So my friend bought into the Russian propaganda, why it works. I told you the reasons. There are certain things he doesn't like about Ukraine, and he tries to find something better in Russia, and he almost certainly tries to make himself believe that he made the right choice, and this may not be conscious, but it's likely subconscious. People want to fool themselves into being in a state that they're comfortable in, even though they know it's not the truth. They prevent even finding material that let them find out whether it is the truth. They prefer to stay in a state of, I think this is okay, this is right, this is true. That's it. I'm not going to try to find the truth. For me, it's different. I'm never interested in finding a state of being comfortable, but I always want to find out what is reality, what is the truth, what is it really like. This is also why, for example, with Dynamo Hubs, when I bought the Sun 28 years ago, many years ago, I bought it because I thought it was the best Dynamo Hub. It was written as such everywhere. I bought it. It had strong vibrations in the handlebar, even with the light off, with no power being used. I thought, what is this rubbish? And instead of telling myself, yeah, it's okay, it's normal, I decided to look for other hubs to find one that does not have such strong vibrations in the handlebar. And I did find some. You can read all about that on my website, which are the best in terms of vibrations. Recently, by the way, keeping it again a bit on the bicycle topic, I bought a bike that came with a Sondelux Dynamo Hub and did not like it at all. With that, I also had the issue, or have the issue, of vibrations in the handlebar, even with light off. I just bought the bike. It was about, I think, 25 kilometers from my house, from a guy. Rode with it back to my house, and noticed, yeah, what's wrong? Is it caused by the belt or something else? It is a bike with a belt drive. But it was the Dynamo Hub. At certain speeds you get a vibration, exactly as with all other Dynamo Hubs, but stronger, similar to the Sun 28. Alright, I will leave a link in the pinned comment and the description to the article where I describe everything about my view and his view. I think in 3 months, Russian army will be quite depleted. In 3 months. In 6 months it will be almost non-existent if they continue to use it as they do now. In 1 year the Russian economy is going to completely collapse if they continue. If secondary sanctions get set by the EU and USA, for example for buying oil, then the crash is going to come even harder, but that will be later, because the EU itself, of course, still gets gas. No, gas perhaps not, because Russia switched it off, but oil from Russia. So until that gets switched off, they can't logically put secondary sanctions on other countries for things they do themselves. Oh, there's our water well here. Yeah, this is a nice area to walk. So if you want to visit, Zhytomyr also has a space museum. The founder of the main influence on the space museum, the driving force behind the space exploration program from the Soviet Union, was Korolev. He was born in Zhytomyr, and there's a space museum here with some old space capsules, etc. It's not big, but it's interesting. There's also a statue of Korolev. It's not as touristy as Kiev, but I like it here. Okay, that's it for now. Bye bye.